ESPN dropped a new 3-round mock draft. So I thought for today's show, we could take a look at the picks they made for Cleveland in rounds 2 and 3. I'll give you my analysis and reaction to both those selections. I invite you to do the same down in the comment section below. Now, really quickly, before we look at pick number 54 for the Browns, we are 13 subs away from 34,000 subscribers. So quick reminder and / request, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so before the draft because we're going to be pumping out so much draft content for every pick Cleveland makes. I don't want you to miss a thing. Now let's get right into the mock draft, and we will fast forward to round number 2. That is when the Browns come out to play. And a couple of picks right before Cleveland I would have been interested in. Jer'Zhan, Johnny Newton to the Bengals. That's a DJ Reader replacement if I've ever seen one. And right before the Browns at pick 53, my guy Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M, he goes to the Eagles. But drum roll please, with pick 54, the Cleveland Browns select wide receiver out of Oregon, Troy Franklin. A guy that we talked about early in the draft process, and I say we, not just us here at the Browns Report, but I think the entire Browns community kind of got on the Troy Franklin hype train, and then we all sort of started looking at other prospects as well. So let's get to know, maybe refamiliarize ourselves with the former Oregon Duck. 6'2", 176 pounds. So you can just kind of picture the frame really tall and really slender, right? Maybe a Devontae Smith, but taller kind of frame, if you will. Really good speed, though. 4.41 40-yard dash. So he's got a great vertical ability to his game to stretch the field, make the big plays. Now, I think he's a day 2 target because he's got a lack of an extensive route tree. His time at Oregon, it wasn't just run straight, run a go route. He did a lot of stuff underneath for Bo Nix, but he's got a slender frame and limited route tree, but he's got a lot of production. Like when you look at his stats, guys, he had 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. I think he's first all-time in receiving touchdowns for Oregon, and he did that in 2 years. So we're not just talking about a physically gifted player. We're talking about a guy that put up a lot of really good numbers, and he averaged 17.1 yards a reception, so a big play machine. Now, this is what Field Yates wrote as him and Mel Kiper alternated picks in his selection for Cleveland. The Browns traded for Jerry Jeudy this offseason, but they still feel one wide receiver short on offense, especially since Amari Cooper is entering the final year of his deal. Franklin is a speedy big play waiting to happen. My question for Field Yates and the Browns in general is, are the Browns the best at developing wide receivers? Because they've gone down this path with Andrew Berry the last few drafts of Cedric Tillman, David Bell, Anthony Schwartz, all third-round picks. And I know round 2 you're going to get a better player more often than not, but they don't have a great track record of taking guys that need some polishing. And I think that's what Troy Franklin falls under. He needs help polishing because he has to learn to run more than just a few routes he did in Eugene last year. So when you look at the Browns wide receiver room, they've got a lot of top-end talent. Cooper, Jeudy, Moore, recent picks in Tillman and Bell. So sure, anything is possible for the Browns at 54 because who knows what's going to be available at pick 54? They've definitely got some plans in place for if this wide receiver is gone or this defensive tackle is gone, what do we want to pivot to? Like, it's going to be Ross Geller taking a couch up a flight of stairs 20 times compared to just one story with Rachel. So will the Browns extend Amari Cooper is kind of the next question because, as Field Yates pointed out, Cooper turns 30 in June. He's entering the last year of his contract. Do they start planting replacement seeds in this year's draft? You go back to Andrew Berry speaking to the media at the NFL owners meeting, and basically everything Berry said says the contrary, where the Browns are looking at Cooper as a guy they love in the locker room and they want to have him long-term here. So I think there's a plan in place to extend Amari Cooper, and if that's going to happen, you've got Jerry Jeudy locked up for the next few years. You'll have Amari Cooper locked up for the next few years. Cedric Tillman's only entering the second year of his rookie contract. The Browns could go wide receiver. I just don't think they will. Now, the question kind of then becomes, if they plan on extending Amari Cooper, like how much is that going to cost them? And could they find themselves in a spot where they want to extend Cooper, but they are unable to afford that type of extension? You can look at the top 10 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL right now. I mean, you got new faces kind of joining the ranks. Michael Pittman, Calvin Ridley. Those guys are younger, though. I mean, really is actually not that much younger than Cooper. But I think what an extension for Amari Cooper could look like is 3 years, $60 million, which actually continues his base salary of $20 million a season. Like that average salary, which he signed with the Dallas Cowboys, 5 years, $100 million. I wrestled with this one. I tried to look for, a blueprint, a point of reference, some sort of precedent, if you will. I mean, we had Mike Evans get a 2-year, $52 million extension. That pays him what? A little over $25 million a season. I don't think Cooper's going to get the same kind of money that Mike Evans got. Plus, maybe a little bit of a, I wouldn't say hometown discount, but Mike Evans knowing, hey, I'm a Buccaneer and I've been here for a long time. Maybe the Bucs doing him right and actually giving him a little bit more money just to ensure he stays in Tampa. So for the Browns and Cooper, I think this is a win-win on both sides, right? Cooper continues to get paid the same amount. It's a pretty nice $60 million contract for a guy who's turning 30 years old. You don't see $40 million guaranteed to wide receivers 30 and over very often. So for Cooper, he doesn't have to risk his production in 2024 having a big impact on his free agency status after the season. And for the Browns, they get a guy at $20 million who doesn't even make the top 10 highest paid receivers. And all he's done is played his best football the last 2 years in Cleveland. So do you believe Amari Cooper should get an extension? If the Browns plan on extending Amari Cooper, I think that dramatically impacts what they want to do at the draft. Sure, if a guy falls to them at pick 54 that has no business being available there, that could alter plans, right? But if things go the way the Browns think they'll go in the draft and there's not some superstar like A.D. Mitchell available at 54 for God knows what reason, I think if the Browns lock down Cooper long-term, they'll address other needs with their first pick in the draft. All right, let's fast forward to the third round of the draft where Cleveland's got pick 85. I'm a big fan of Jonah Ellis out of Utah, 12 sacks last year. I don't think the Browns go that position. Other names to keep an eye on, Zach Zinter, interior offensive lineman from the team up north. He was really important for Michigan. Michael Hall, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Andrew Berry has loved his boys from Columbus. And we're going to check out who the Browns pick at 85 in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you guys about our sponsor today, which is Mando. Baseball fans, if you hate foul balls, I mean, you know the kind I'm talking about here. No matter how hard you scrub them in the shower, they still smell like last week's nacho cheese. Well, ditch the soap and step up to the plate with Mando Whole Body Deodorant. Developed by a doctor, this game-changing formula is safe for your entire body and knocks out odor like a champ. Plus, new customers can get $5 off a starter pack at shopmando.com with promo code CHAT. Now, when the weather begins to nicen up, I like to walk to work, and it's like a 20 to 25-minute walk, which means I've already got a sweat going, and the deodorant I put on right after I got out of the shower, it's like half drained, if you will. So I got Mando just waiting for me at my desk. That way, I'm not the stinky guy in the office all day long, and you don't want to be the stinky guy in the office or at school or anywhere. So, Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I got a discount code for the Dog Pound to hook up the best viewers on YouTube and ditch that stinky smell and get whole body deodorant on the market today. New customers can get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com with that code CHAT, C-H-A-T. Don't worry, I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Shout out to Mando for supporting the Cleveland Browns Report. Getting back to pick number 85 in this Mel Kiper and Field Yates mock draft, they had the Browns going with Florida State running back Trey Benson. 6 foot, 216 pounds, really fast, 4.39 40-yard dash. I think that was the second fastest of all running backs in the NFL draft, just a tick behind Jalen Wright at 4.38. Now, he is an explosive back. He makes big plays. He had 380-plus yard pickups for the Seminoles. He forces missed tackles. He is not easy to bring down. Now, my con for Benson is Unfortunately, he suffered multiple knee injuries in 2020, torn ACL, MCL, other ligaments. So similar to Nick Chubb, who had a similar injury in Georgia, he was able to bounce back. So don't cross him off your list as a result. But teams definitely look at running back knee injury in college. We're going to look a different direction. So that's got to be factored into the equation. But in between the lines, there is a lot to like about Benson. Last year for the Seminoles, 906 yards, 5.8 yards a carry. My only concern is, and maybe Seminole fans can kind of help me out a little bit here in the comment section, why did a guy that went from having 154 carries for 990 yards and 6.4 yards a carry see only an increase of 2 carries the following season? Like, did Mike Norvell just really love airing it out, and that's why? Or was there a little bit more to the story? That's just a question mark that pops up of, you had a running back who averaged 6.5 yards a carry. Don't you think you're going to pound the rock with him the next year? Instead, he sees a similar workload. If the Browns go running back in round 3, though, that would signal a ton to us about where Nick Chubb is at health-wise. Andrew Berry, the last time he spoke to the media, said, come draft time, I'll probably have a better answer to where Nick Chubb is at. And not too long ago, we saw the Browns and Nick Chubb agree to a new 1-year contract essentially for Chubb, where it lowers his cap hit and adds a ton of incentives to it. And I feel like the Browns getting that done before the draft is a good sign that they feel like he'll be ready to roll earlier in the season compared to later in the year. Because if you weren't all that comfortable with, or weren't all that confident with where Chubb will be returning, don't you think you would wait till after the draft to see which running back you could potentially get in the draft before you decide to get some work done on Nick Chubb's contract? Now, this is what Mel Kiper had to say on his selection for the Browns. Nick Chubb should be back from his serious knee injury in 2024, but the Browns could use a young back to push him. Benson is speedy and shifty, and I like his ability to hit a hole and find a lane. With just 2 picks in the first 2 rounds, he means 3 rounds of the draft, Cleveland might have to target its needs. And what Kiper is saying there at the end is they may not have the luxury of going best player available because they only have 5 picks in the draft. So if they feel like Benson's more of a round 4 guy, but they can't risk him being there around 4, then they may reach on some players. Now, here's my running back big board. I've got Jonathan Brooks at number 1. He tore his ACL late in the season for Texas, but I think he's a really special player. He was just somewhat buried on that Texas depth chart behind the NFL likes of Roschon Johnson and Bijan Robinson. Jalen Wright from my alma mater, a little bit of bias peeking through here, but I really think he is a big play machine waiting to happen. I've got him at 2 ahead of Benson. I've got Corum all the way at 4. The reason being is the knee injury he suffered in college, that's also going to take a little bit of a hit. He got a ton of usage at Michigan as well, so he's got a lot of tread on his tires, and I feel like he's giving me like Wisconsin running back vibes of guy who ran behind a great offensive line that gets to the NFL and doesn't have that same luxury anymore. And then I'm going to put Ray Davis from Kentucky at number 5. This is just more of a sign that I don't love this running back draft class, and he sneaks into my top 5. But reviewing ESPN's mock draft, they had Troy Franklin at pick 54 for the Browns and Trey Benson at 85. How would you grade this mock draft? A, B, C, D, or F? To me, I'd give it like a C+, and that's not saying it's a bad draft, right? But when you don't pick till 54, it's hard to get an A kind of caliber player. So for me, picking only twice in the top 100, it's not easy to find really good players. That's a tough hand to be dealt. We're talking about getting like pocket 6s, and you hope no one else gets a better hand after the flop, but probably unlikely. So I give it a C+. Okay, let's conclude our show with a random card selection. I think I got to go 6 after that analogy.
I was about to say, you teed yourself perfectly up.
Yeah, I'm going to go 6 of 6 spades.
6 spades? I'm a big fan of Trey Benson, so I'm going to go 3 of diamonds.
Yeah, you were nodding your head during that.
Dude, I think Trey Benson's the best running back in the class.
And that also may be the case. And that's kind of more of a testament to like how fucky this draft class is.
Yeah, because Jonathan Brooks, I worry about the injury. Obviously, your boy from Tennessee, he's going to be really good, but I just like Trey Benson. Also, Florida State's offense, one of the most frustrating things to watch, but that can be for another video. So.
Okay, here we go. Ready? What'd you say?
3 of diamonds.
10 of hearts. Very rare card, I feel like. 10 of hearts. Okay. We'll let you guys get back to your Monday. We will sign off, and I'll see you all later.